Peace and blessings, family.
Oh, yes. Mr. Taye Uhuru, nice to meet you. Good to have you here.
Likewise.
Yes. Yeah, it's good to have you here. Um, so can you just introduce yourself?
Oh,
You
yeah,
know,
most definitely. Peace, everybody. I want to thank you first and foremost for inviting me and allowing me on this platform. I am Taye Uhuru. I'm from the United States of America. I'm an
okay.
independent hip hop artist. I'm an author. I'm a historian. I'm a genealogist. I'm a world traveler. I've been to roughly 70 countries. I've been to about 15 or 20 African countries as well.
Okay. Wonderful. Wonderful. So what do you make music, hip hop, as you said right now, yes?
Yes, definitely.
Nice. And you make it based out of the US.
Yeah, for the most part, I make it based out of the United States, but I have been blessed with the opportunity to work with artists all around the world, artists in Senegal, South Africa, Dominican Republic, Brazil,
Wonderful.
Amsterdam.
That's quite the repertoire there. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So it's really good to have you here now. Let's just move on to the next panelist before we come back around to talk again. Um, is Iniolua Gem around right now? I do not think so. All right. So what we're going to do now, since Iniolua seems to not be online right now with us, we're just going to go straight into, talking about, the topic for today with you, Mr. Taye, if that's all right. So if you don't mind, you can put on your mic again and we get talking.
Okay, cool, cool.
Great. Do you mind putting on your video?
Yeah, yeah, I can turn the video on one sec.
Please, yeah, do that. Thanks.
One sec.
No problem.
Can you see me?
Great. Yeah, I'll do. I can. Thanks. So yeah, good to see you. Good to have you. So we're just gonna dive right into the panel discussion. The topic, maneuvering storytelling in music. I'm sure you've already had your time to think of what you're going to say and what you're going to talk about with us. So if you take it away right now if you want to.
Oh, okay. Man, I didn't have a lot to say. I just wanted to start off, with talking about the history of African American music. The
Nice.
influence that we brought from Africa with us to the Americas. So pretty much African Americans have always used music as a way to communicate, educate, and tell stories, you know what I'm saying, since 1419 when we were shipped off, you know what I'm saying, and
Word.
we were kidnapped and forced to be slaves. In the Americas, we still continue to use music. So Negro spirituals, that was like the first form or the first genre of music that we were able to use in America. You know what I'm saying? So the slaves, if you don't already know, they would sing these songs aloud. So there were stories, but they were like biblical stories. You know what I'm saying? But within those stories, there was another story, a hidden message. So for example, they may be singing "Swing Low, Sweet Chariot." You know what I'm saying? So when the slave master is listening, he thinking they singing about the Bible and gospel and things like that, which they were. But at the same time, they're saying, okay, tonight is the night that we're going to run away. So
Oh,
it was like twofold, if you can understand what I'm saying. You
word.
know what I'm saying? And then it wasn't just one story, like some songs that be about one story. Each line and each verse and each bar would have a different story and a different meaning. So within that same song, you know what I'm saying? The slaves might say, I looked over to Jordan and what did I see? You know what I'm saying? So that was like a metaphor. That was like a hidden code to say, okay, you know, the metaphor was Jordan. Instead of Jordan, it was the Ohio River. So that was like the
Mm,
finish line. So once the slaves saw that Ohio River, they knew that on the other side of that was another life. You know what I'm
nice.
saying? The closest thing that they would have to being free. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to add it. And there was several songs that they used that had different meanings or different stories, if you will. So that they had, you know, Swing Low, Sweet Chariot, Follow the Drinking Gourd, Roll Jordan Roll, Wade in the Water, Steal Away, you know. So
Mm,
those were some of the first stories that was told through African American music.
wonderful. Nice. So when did you start making music yourself?
Oh man, I actually started writing music when I was probably about 10 or 11. I was in elementary school. You know, I was just writing music for fun at that time because I was blessed. I grew up in a house where music was always played. My older brothers, my older cousins, my dad, you know, it was a house full of men outside of my mom. So they would always have house parties. They would play hip hop, R&B. So, you know, I was able to listen to music at an early age, pretty much all my life. But I didn't really start writing until I was probably about 10 years old. And then as I got
Nice.
older, I started composing songs and adding hooks and, you know, trying to tell stories and making more complex things. And then as I got in high school, that's when I was able to finally record, you know, on a
Nice.
professional level.
And you've been doing this for how many years now?
Man, I'm 36 now, so about 26
Nice.
years, something like that.
Well, sweet. So from all of the music you heard your parents playing, which ones really influenced you to start to make for yourself? You know, to start to tell your own stories and your own songs.
Well, I mean, definitely hip hop. You know, I was born in the 80s, so I was influenced by people like KRS-One, Boogie Down Productions, Rakim, Slick Rick, Ice Cube, NWA, Public Enemy, X Clan. You know, a lot of rappers at this time were speaking about being pro-black, being pro-African. You know, they really gave it up for the motherland. You know, a lot of things was going on at that time, and that's something that stuck with me even to this day. So a lot of my music is more lyrically conscious, if you will. You know, I talk a lot about revolutionary things, or you know, things that people may consider conscious or political rap. You know.
Mm. Well, that's nice and interesting. And if I may ask, when you were going to start writing your own stories, what were the biggest challenges you had to face? The biggest choices you had to make when you said, okay, now I'm going to start writing as a Tayo who going to start writing my own songs. What were the biggest choices you had to make at that point in your career?
I mean, it's just kind of like as you get older, you get more mature. So you just make more conscious choices about what type of songs you're making and what they are about. You know
Mm,
what I'm saying? So now that I'm older, I make more songs about things that people can learn from. People can feel empowered when they listen to my music, things that'll make people think. You know, you can make party songs, you can have fun sometimes, but
word.
you know, for the most part, it's more for you know, educational purposes and things like that. I would say my music is more so revolutionary in comparison to the music that you may hear on the radio or the music that you may
Mm,
see on the TV and different things like that, you know. So I do tell stories in my music, but I think that I do it in a more complex way. Like I say, you have some songs where the entire song is a story, but I may have a song that's telling each line may be a story, you know, kind of like how the African Americans were doing during slavery. So each bar, each line, each metaphor, each punchline, each simile that I use, it could tell another story. It could paint another picture. It could give you a different idea throughout that one song.
nice, nice. So if I understand, you just approach it in a way that you were both making music, you know, sometimes for entertainment, but for the most part, you really have a reason to write, and then you write to educate and you know, to stand for something, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, for the viewers, if they get an opportunity, They can check out my music. I got some music on YouTube. The last
Word.
song that I released is called "Do Revolutionaries Go to Heaven?" So this was
Mm.
a song that I wrote, I recorded, and I shot the music video while I was living in South Africa. I was staying in the city of Johannesburg, and I was
Nice.
staying in a neighborhood called Mabo Name. So it's an art district. So in this area, it's a very unique place. A lot of rappers, singers, poets, dancers, drummers, painters, fashion designers, they live in this area. And sometimes people frequent this area and they showcase their talents. However, that last year was the pandemic. So a lot of things was locked down. But
Mm.
I was fortunate because in the apartment that I was staying in this neighborhood, it was a studio, it was singers, it was producers, it was other rappers. So
Nice.
even though the rest of the world was somewhat shut down, I was still able to perform my music on every level. So, like I said, it's an art district. So as I would walk to the grocery store each day, I would see murals of great Black men and women, paintings of people like Marcus Garvey, Nelson Mandela, Rosa Parks, Harriet Tubman, Nipsey Hussle, Tupac. So I was empowered by these images every day. So I decided to write a song in honor of people that have sacrificed their freedom, sacrificed their careers, their money, their families, even their lives. So that's why the song was called "Do Revolutionaries Go to Heaven?" So if you get a chance, please check out my music video, and it's on
Wonderful.
YouTube.
Wonderful. I will check that out. I'm doing it right now.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, I will check that out. Um, so so far everything I've heard is brilliant. But then to hit the nail on the head, we go straight to the topic of discussion for today. And it is how do you, Tayo Uhuru, as an artist, how do you maneuver storytelling in your music?
I mean, you saying how do I maneuver it from the writer standpoint?
From the person, from the writer, from the person, from the artist. Um, correct me if I'm wrong now, but like from what I've heard, you're not really trying to be the uh you don't really try. It doesn't seem like you're just trying to sell a lot of records in a club, and
Hmm.
just be that, like the big pop stars of today. It doesn't seem like it. It doesn't seem like you're just trying to sell some empty records with some corny lyrics. Seems like you want
Right,
to,
right.
you want to stand for something. You want to tell a
Yeah,
story.
yeah.
And as an artist, I know that really it takes a lot of sacrifice because it's not the high road. It is the high road. It's not the easy route to what one would
Definitely.
consider success or fame or whatever the industry has told us you have to attain before you were considered a successful artist. So you yourself, choosing this path, how do you maneuver? Standing for something, telling your stories and your songs as an artist.
I mean, you definitely try to have a balance. It's okay to have fun and party and do whatever, but
Word.
at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? I just made a decision for myself that, when it's all said and done, 100 years from now, 50 years from now, 200 years from now, when people talk about me and talk about my music and the things that I did, it'll separate me from the rest. You know what I'm saying? So they can say,
Mm.
wow, he really stood for something. And those are the people that I admire most. Like I said, people like Marcus Garvey and Malcolm X, you know what I'm saying? They may
Nice.
not have had the most money or the most prestige or notoriety or fame,
Mm.
but they were real men and real women. So that's something that motivates me, you know what I'm saying? And my family has a history of freedom fighters and black nationalists,
Oh,
things
nice.
like that. Yeah, yeah, definitely. So at a young age, I learned about black history and African history. And, my grandmother, she told me about her grandfather. He was a Garveyite. He was a follower of Marcus Garvey in the United States. And he told her that we were Africans and we should go back to Africa and we should fight for black people and we should unite and we should practice cooperative economics. So, at the time I didn't process all of those things, but those are things that definitely stuck with me. My mom, she gave me my first Black history book, and her brother, which is my uncle, he started his own Black Power organization in the 1960s. And I wrote a book about it. So his organization was at the forefront of reintroducing Black Americans to African history, African music, African literature, African language. You know, they had classes on Swahili. They taught the kids how to play the Congo drums. They wore dashikis. They wore their hair natural. You know, they had poetry readings and fashion shows, and they practiced self-defense. You know, they trained with the rifles. They trained with the machetes. They did the military drills. So, you know, that's just something that not only I've been exposed to, but it's something that runs in my family as well. It's in my DNA, you know, so.
Interesting. Nice. So far, everything I've heard has been very interesting, and it
Thank you.
seems, yeah, and inspiring too in a way, because it seems you are very in touch with what you stand for, and that's brilliant. That's wonderful to see, and I think that really goes a long way in helping define a writer and an artist. You know, in terms of writing, especially if you're very in touch with what you stand for, you know, like deep to your core, then it's going to be somewhat easier to write and to, you know, just flow. If you know what I mean, just
Yeah,
vibe,
definitely.
just vibe like that. And the thing you said about balance, it's very brilliant. True. I mean, you know, you're both gonna shut down parties if you have to, and you're still gonna stand for something that's going to change lives, hopefully.
Most
Thank you.
definitely.
Yeah, thank you very much. Is there anything you want to add to all of what you said now?
Man,
I
I
mean,
think we covered a lot for sure. You know, I'm just
yeah,
thankful to be here. I'm thankful for the viewers. I'm thankful for the show. And I really appreciate y'all, most definitely.
yeah. It does sound like you do have a lot to say. It sounds like you're very experienced.
Oh, thank you.
In yeah, it does sound like it. Like, come on, you've been doing this for 26 years. Like, wow.
Yeah, I'm still learning, man. I'm still growing. I don't
I
know it
mean, we're
all.
all
So,
learning. We're all
mhm.
learning. Yeah. But that's wonderful. Thank you very much, Taye. I'll come back to you, but like, not right
Okay.
now. I want to check if you know, we'll get to the next panelist. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So I reckon now that the fourth panelist, Dr. Shegun Akinolu, is not going to be around. Inyolua Jem as so I'm gonna go next. So I'm gonna ask myself the questions and answer them. Let's
Okay,
see.
cool, cool.
Yeah, sure, sure. So I'm just gonna go straight to you know, reintroduce myself. I'm Tega Ethan, singer-songwriter. You know, I've been performing for a while now. I moved from Ibadan. Um, Ibadan is in Oyo State in Western Nigeria, and I moved there to be closer to Lagos because that's where all of the music industry is, and so moved there in 2017, I think, and you know, from there I was performing. I busked a little. Just it's not very easy to busk here, but I tried. I busked. I performed at small shows, small events, and after a while, I got called. I got a DM on Instagram from someone in Lagos who had watched my performance, a small 15-second performance, and decided that okay, they want this on their own event. So they asked me if I could come open for their show in Lagos, and that is when I kind of would consider the start of my career, because before then it was, you know, I was singing, I was performing, but then I wanted it to be a career, but then it still felt like, you know, something I was just doing. And it was almost like a plan A and Alf, not A, not B, just like in the middle, just in case. Like really important, but we can't super count on it yet. But at that point, it took ultimate priority as soon as I had my first gig, and then I went on to play more. And I consider myself to be a songwriter before I'm a singer. I wouldn't say I have the best. I'm not Bono. I don't have the best voice. I wouldn't belt out notes in a stadium, but I can write songs, and I consider that to be my strongest point as an artist. And then I write from love songs to, slightly political songs, and to the point when I decided I wanted to start releasing music. I was writing all of these songs, sometimes 20 songs a week. You just keep them somewhere. Some make it, some don't make it. You finish some songs, you don't. But the joy of writing was just there, and it was like very enjoyable to write. You just write them, no pressure. And then at the point when it was time to become a recording artist, which nothing can prepare you for, I'm sure you know that. I mean, you're writing songs at some point, you're performing in maybe cafes and open mics, and then all of a sudden it's time to release music, and all of your talent, just your singing talent, just seems to go away. It's like, why is this so hard? So at that point, the biggest problem I had to face was now I've got different songs, different genres, different themes, different topics that I've written over 2 years. And all of a sudden it was time for me to decide what path am I going to take as an artist, because I reckon that the first few songs you release in the start of your career tends to define you for a while. Maybe you can change at some point, but like at that point when you're building your day one fans, what you tell them you are through your songs, the kind of songs you release, can determine the kind of person that will determine the kind of person, the kind of artist that will consider you to be for a very long time. And so it was time for me to decide what songs do I choose, what do I want to go with first. Do I want to go with a love song? Do I want to be the guy who sings ballads? Do I want to be the guy who sings about how messed up the country is? Do I want to be the guy who sings about hope? And that was one of the hardest, still is, because I've not entirely, to be frank, to be honest, I've not entirely made like one decision and say, okay, this is the artist I want to be, because I don't think I know yet. I think I will find out in the next 10 years, I guess. But till then, I made a decision to just release music I'm 100% comfortable with from now. And when it comes to maneuvering, I call it like the topic maneuvering. It's not a word I would usually use. Storytelling in music, I would consider it to be one of the more personal, most personal things for an artist, because you know your songs, you know what you want to be, you've had all of these dreams you've built up in your head while you were younger, and you've lived the experiences, and you wrote these songs, they're yours and everything, and and it's supposed to be deliberate. But the problem now is, for a lot of writers, not a problem, but the tricky thing for a lot of writers, and like writers like myself, is when I write songs, most times I'm not really sitting down and saying, okay, today I'm going to write about a boy who walked from here to here. Most times, like 80% of the songs I've written, they just happen. You just maybe walking down the street, you hear something or you see something, and that it could be as simple as, 2 notes, and that could blow up to an entire song, or maybe just one loop you hear, or maybe just one thing you read. For me, sometimes it could be movies. I could be watching a movie and I could be so deep in the emotion of all of the actors and everything, and I just press pause and go on to write an entire song. It has happened a number of times. So For me, if you're gonna ask me how do I approach maneuvering storytelling, I would just say living, like, you know, living, existing, uh, just being a part of your community, or what you would consider your community, being a part of something, experiencing, doing the things you love, and all of that is storytelling, because you're basically a channel. You become a channel. You experience things, and these things flow through you and come out in songs. It's almost like you're a machine. So it's not, sometimes you can sit down and write music, with a plan. I'm going to write this and this and this. But for me, the best songs I've written has been when I was the machine. I was not trying to be a professional songwriter. I wasn't trying to tell any, I just like experienced and let it through and flow through me, just being a vessel basically. And those are the songs I owe to Darius. Those are the songs I cherish the most. These are the songs that I consider to be the most pure, true form of storytelling of all of the things I've written. And yeah, so that is how Tega Ethan approaches and maneuvers storytelling in music. Thank you very much. So thanks for listening to me talk about, how I maneuver. I'm beginning to like the word maneuver. So I'd like to have TVO, the host, online right now. Can you join me for a second, Victoria?
Yes.
Okay. Hi. Thank you. So
Yeah.
Thank you. So we've gone through Mr. Tayo Uhuru, wonderful, wonderful session with him. And then I've talked about my own experiences. And I reckon that Mr. Akiolu, Beautiful Nubia, Dr. Shagun Akiolu, he has something for us. So is it all right if we go into that now?
I didn't get you.
Dr. Akiolu, Beautiful Nubia, I heard he has something for us. Okay. I believe that was the trailer of the documentary.
Good.
Okay, thank you. That was the the trailer for the documentary, and oh, wonderful. So Inioluwa Gem is with us now. So we're going to go next.
Creative, and identity gives a perspective that would help you create works that are much more generic to yourself.
My name is Ayo Oyeku, and I'm a writer of prose, poetry, and screenplay.
I'm Ethan, and I'm a singer-songwriter.
Hello, I'm Victoria Olajide. I'm a creative writer and social entrepreneur.
I'm an artist.
Wilson Williams. I'm a finance and innovations person. But for the purpose of this conversation, I'd like to identify as a confluence.
Finding who you are creates definition that most people might not even give you as a creative, and identity gives a perspective that would help you create works that are much more generic to yourself.
My name is Ayo Oyeku, and I'm a writer of prose, poetry, and screenplay.
I'm Ethan, and I'm a singer-songwriter.
Hello, I'm Victoria Olajide. I'm a creative writer and social entrepreneur.
I'm an artist.
Wilson Williams. I'm a finance and innovations person. But for
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Inioluwa Gem. Nice to have you.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Good morning.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Good
I
morning.
apologize for coming in late. We had network glitches where I was.
Okay. If it's all right, can you put on your screen?
Video.
Your video,
All
yes.
All right. So, hello.
Oh, nice to have you. Hello.
Yeah. Nice to be here.
Yeah, great. So we already had a very short introduction for you, but if you do not mind, can you introduce yourself again personally?
All right. My name is Inioluwa Koka, Mrs. My stage name is Inioluwa Gem.
Nice.
I'm a recording artist and I'm a performing artist. I'm also
Wonderful.
a songwriter, composer, and producer. I've worked with numerous projects, both nationally and internationally. And,
Wonderful.
Yeah, I've been at it for about 10 years, thereabouts. So
Nice.
the music is my passion. Music is what I do for a living, technically. Yeah.
I love to hear that. So you say you've been doing this for 10 years now.
Yeah.
Nice. So at what point did you decide you were going to start, do you do it full time?
Yes, I do music full time.
Wow.
I write, I produce, I do my own songs. Yes, I produce. I do songwriting too. Like, for example, I'm a freelance songwriter for Maven Records. I'm songwriter rather for Maven
For
Records.
Mavens. Nice.
Yeah, so
Nice.
I do also, of course, for movie projects, organizations, I also write songs for them as well.
Well, that's wonderful. So I'm very sure you have a lot to tell us. So I'm just going to go straight into the topic for today first. I might ask more questions, but being that you are a professional songwriter, yes, and an artist too, how, according to the topic for today, how have you managed to maneuver I think I said maneuver so many times today. Maneuver storytelling, maneuver storytelling, in music so far for you. What has been your own personal experience and your own personal tactic, if I may, you've used in maneuvering, maneuvering again?
All right. Okay, so for me, first of all, I realized that music is a universal form of entertainment as an art form. And I also realized that the African music narrative is potent enough and strong enough to inspire and to change. Now, I approach every song, and I mean every song. I mean what we hear on the radio, whatever you hear on TV, YouTube, streaming platforms, what have you. Every song is a story. That's how I approach every song.
Interesting.
That is because I'll give you at least some points why I think that every song is a story. The first reason is because I feel that number one, every song, how do I put it now? It produces or it feeds a certain narrative about a certain people. Of course, we've already noticed that in the last couple of years and all that, African music is becoming more relevant on the global space. There's a certain narrative that people are beginning to recognize and to understand that, okay, there's a certain brand of music coming from Africa. And there's, for every song that comes out, there's a certain impression that it leaves, do you understand, in the mind of them. And that is really what is doing. So I see every song as a piece, as a part of a puzzle, a bigger puzzle of what Africa is really about. But every song is a piece of a puzzle. So, as a songwriter, I realized that what I do basically is to fuel a certain narrative about Africa, regardless of whether I take the approach of storytelling in terms of, excuse me, please, in terms of, regardless of whether I take storytelling in terms of direct storytelling, like using my song to tell stories directly, or I take a more subtle approach of talking about other things, or basically just thinking about how I feel and all of that. The truth of the matter is that the song will still feed a certain narrative. Usually when I talk to people, or when I talk to people around me, or because sometimes I run songwriting masterclass for some people and all that, I tell them that, okay, take a particular song, think of a particular song right now, okay? Just think of one song right now. Then the next thing I want you to do is that think of, after thinking of the song, what is that one impression that song leaves you with, After and that impression, write it out in one sentence. Do you understand? Okay, so for example, I listened to, say, Fela's song on Gentleman, I know be Gentleman at all. Now, what is that impression that it leaves you with? In one sentence, the African man is not a gentleman, or a true African man is not a gentleman. I mean, in quotes, of course. Do you understand? So every song fuels a certain narrative. Do you understand? And I believe very strongly that in maneuvering storytelling, we have to approach music from that perspective of the fact that whatever I do, and sometimes we because when we talk about African music, I did African music, for example, in as masters in University of Ibadan, and sometimes the narrative is that African music is becoming just polarized, like it's losing its authenticity. Do you understand? There's a narrative that says, okay, African music is losing its authenticity. We're no longer original. We're not sticking to our roots. We're not doing all of that and all that. And it's probably it's probably in some way true, but at the same time, I want to argue that it's not completely true that we're losing our authenticity, in the sense that Okay, the other people might say that, okay, the reason why we are losing the authenticity is because we are embracing Western values, for example, adding Western art forms, using Western structures. Of course, in music, we have structure, we have, and all that. And the fact that we're beginning to imbibe Western structures and doing things in a certain way and all that doesn't necessarily mean that we're not staying true to our roots. Now, let me digress a little. Take, for example, the Chinese. I took time to study Chinese culture, for example, and I realized that they were able to find a middle ground between their culture and Westernization. And that is why they have risen at least to one of the top world powers at the moment, because for example, a Chinese man, of course, is in his shirt and trouser, but his mentality and everything that he does is Chinese, technically. As a matter of fact, even their language is preserved, despite the fact that they have embraced all that is Western in terms of the way of life and all of that, which means that African music, as it were, also can also, can also create a balance. There can be a balance also in African music, where we can imbibe some Western values. We can imbibe some Western culture into the music, but that does not change the authenticity if we maintain our identity as it is as Africans. There's a way Africans write. There is a way. Sometimes I did a particular song that was meant for an international audience and all of that, and they were like, "This." Of course, it was English. It was completely in that sense Western, but by the time a friend of mine that was abroad was analyzing, he said that there's a way you write, it's African, but even though you're doing English songs and all of that, there's a way your African orientation comes to play in the way you even phrase your words, in the way you understand, express the music. And that is why I'll still get back to the fact that African music, do you understand? It's that piece. You understand? Every song is that piece of a puzzle that creates a certain narrative. For example, I also see music as an art. Do you understand? Like artwork. Every song is an art piece, and each of those art pieces, do you understand, are a reflection of the artist himself. So, for example, if I sat down and I said, okay, I wanted to write about love, do you understand? What I write about love, in a way, is some form of reflection of how I feel that love should be about. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a complete representation of who I am or what I stand for, but it is at some point a reflection of at least, even if it's just a tiny bit of a reflection, it's a piece of the puzzle of actually who I am. If I wrote the song because I wanted to please people, then it means that I'm a people pleaser. Do you understand what I'm saying? But if I wrote the song because I wanted to, because I actually wanted to express what I really feel about it, means that I actually am expressive and I do not care what others think. I just want to express myself. But either way, the song is still a reflection of who I am. It's a reflection of me as an artist. So, and that is why every song is a piece of the puzzle in this general narrative. So I'm looking at storytelling in music more from the general narrative of how do people perceive Africans, or how do people perceive Africa, or how do people perceive Nigerians or Nigeria, as it were. And so if we as songwriters, that's a challenge I like to pose to people that I talk to, or people that I interact with. And I say, if we are songwriters or musicians or artists, performing artists, recording artists, if we consciously decided that, okay, we want to change or we want to portray a certain narrative of how we want people to view Africa, or how we want people to view Nigeria, and we want it to start from our songwriting or from the way we do our music and all that, we'll realize that we'll be in that force and all that. By the time every piece of puzzle comes together, we're able to portray a better Africa or a better Nigeria for everyone around us. So every song feeds a certain narrative, and in the broader narrative, it's a broader narrative of how we want the world to view us. That's what I have to say. Ha.
Thank you very much, Idiolua. Thank you very much. Wow. Well, that's okay. You have said a lot of things. And yeah, and it does make a lot of sense. I think I was trying to remember some parts of it, like when you talked about maintaining genuinity in Nigerian music while accepting, because I believe it's inevitable, cultures merge together, their influences and everything. So
it is inevitable, yes.
But you said we should strive to maintain more of our genuinity while we accept all of these external influences.
Yes. Okay, let me be very clear on that. What I mean by that is maintaining our identity. It's a matter of, okay, I am African. I may use Western, for example. What we're using right now is not made by Nigerians, apparently.
The Zoom.
Zoom. So we can employ some of these things. And the truth, although I do know that there's, for example, there's a concept called change and continuity, where there's a part where culture evolves over time. Like even our speaking culture, communication culture, for example, in Africa is not as it used to be. Our evening life, for example, is not as it used to be. I remember my grandmother used to tell me about the fact that they used to sit under the tree, to listen to stories. Tell stories. That is definitely not what's going on now. Do you understand? That has changed. So culture has evolved over time. But what I mean is that the identity of, okay, I am an African, whatever I do still at the end of the day forms a certain narrative about who I am. And so it's that sense of responsibility that I'm trying to talk about here. Saying that you take responsibility for who you are, and you refuse to, because there's a thin line between using Western culture, imbibing Western culture with a strong understanding of identity. There's a thin line between doing that and trying to be like them. When the issue is when you're trying to be like them, then at that point you have lost the fact that you have a specific and a unique identity, and you don't need to be like them. You can be you, but you can use some of their influences and their what's it called now, their tools, whatever it is. You can sing in English or like but don't you can sing rap. For example, I did a particular rap song for a particular movie, I was nice. Rapping and all that.
You
so
rap
you can
too.
do that. Yeah, you can do that. You can do that for like but it is not with it's more of a mindset thing. It's not with the longing that, okay, I want to do it like them, but I want to do it like I am, because I am African and there's a way African do those things. So that's basically like the balance I'm trying to create here.
Nice. All right, thank you. Okay, just out of curiosity, from all of the songs, because right now I have a mental picture of what the top 100 songs in Nigeria looks like. Do you think, from your own standards, do you think they've been able to maintain that identity, that genuinity?
In a way, yes, I do believe that. In a way, well, of course, not. All of them. And if we notice, there's a certain trend moving towards more. The sound is becoming even more foreign in nature. When you listen to it and all that, there's that trend going towards the direction. But when you look at it from a music perspective, like studying it musically, you realize that the form or the art that goes into, for example, your expression, for example. I'm sorry, I'm trying to mentally
yeah, no, it's all right. Yeah, sure.
That I want a song that particularly comes to mind. Okay, take this song that Olamide just did, Rock, for example.
Rock. Yeah.
Yeah, when you think of now, in a way, the song has this foreign vibe to it, right? But when you look at the expression, when you look at the language, when you look at the perspective, it was trying to be more globally. I mean, it was being what's the word now? It was not the usual Olamide we knew like 8 years ago, apparently.
Oh yeah, it has changed,
more
grown.
refined sound. This was a more refined sound. Even the total album, there was a more refined sound. But at the end of the day, you look at the expression and all of that, wine for your guy. Those expressions are typically Nigerian. We don't see anybody talk about that. Do you understand? But I mean, when you are now trying to like change completely, when you are saying, okay, I want to be like them, and then you're trying to change everything. It's okay, my expression, I have to speak like them, I have to act like them, I have to, that is when I think that we need to be very careful about reaching that kind of line. Do you understand? So, I mean, I believe that, yes, and that is why Africa is also currently experiencing some sort of world attention, because they're beginning to realize our ingenuity and the fact that we do things on a crazy level that they could not even imagine. Before, they were trying to, when the show of colonialism came about and all that, we're trying to make us to conform to their own values. But nowadays, you see that there's a subtle recolonization where we are even taking over the world. People want to act Black. People want to be Black. I saw a particular song by an upcoming artist just today, where I was seeing a couple of white women trying to do the Nigerian dance step and all of that, whining like a Nigerian, doing all of that, So I realized that the fact that we have over time proven that we can create our own sound is making the world to pay attention right now. Because the world is beginning to see that there has to be diversity. They're beginning to recognize that, okay, this diversity is good. Do you understand? And so basically, yes, I think that, of course, more can be done. I think that what we should emphasize for artists out there is just make sure you are conscious about it. Don't just throw it to the wind, and be conscious that I do not want to be like anybody. I want to maintain my identity, but I'm doing it in whatever form that it expresses itself, or I express myself in.
Okay, thank you very much, Inioluwa. We've learned a lot, we've heard a lot from you, and thank you for your insight and your own views on genuity and maintaining originality, basically, so we can actually stand out on the global stage and all of that, and for ourselves. So we have come to the end of this panel discussion. Unfortunately, 1 hour has gone by. It's been very well. Taye, Uhuru, thank you so much for everything you shared. I was personally going to ask a few more questions, but now we can't. So I hope we can do this some other time. We can, come together again to have discussions about the nature and the atmosphere around music and African music and all of it. Thank you so much. Once again, really appreciate your time and everything you've shared. For all those that are listening, Taye Uhuru released a song. Can you come up again, Taye? Just remind us the name of the song, the one on YouTube.
Okay, yeah, I got 2 songs. One, Do Revolutionaries Go to Heaven? Do Revolutionaries Go to Heaven by Taye Uhuru. And the second song is called The Blacker the Berry.
Oh, thank you so much. Okay, now so you guys got that. And Inioluwa, where can we find your music and things you have worked on?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram, Inioluwa Gem. I put most of my works there, and I'm also very active there in case you do want to interact with me. But you can also search for me on SoundCloud, Reverb Nation, and there as well. YouTube also, you can get some of my works there too.
All right. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you. So now have a great day and enjoy the rest of the event. Goodbye.